Jason Brown, former NFL player, walked away from a 5-year, $37 million deal to become a farmer. He maintains a 1,000-acre farm where he grows produce such as sweet potatoes and cucumbers. He donates these crops to local food pantries in need. Tony Todd, who plays the mortician in the Final Destination movies, knew taking the role that he only had a few months to live due to cancer. The directors let him improvise his last lines, where he said, "Life is precious. Enjoy every single second. You never know when. Good luck." Astronauts cannot burp in space as the lack of gravity prevents foods and gases separating in the stomach as they do on Earth. Con artist Anthony Gignac once convinced American Express to issue him a platinum card with a $200 million credit limit under the name of an actual Saudi prince by claiming that failing to supply him with new card would anger his supposed dad, the king. The ancient Egyptian calendar had 12 months of 30 days each, with 5 days of partying thrown in at the end of the year to make a total of 365. Ancient British law says, any man who sleeps with the Princess Royal before marriage commits high treason. This is a lifetime title bestowed, not inherited, by the monarch on their eldest daughter. The eldest daughter of a new monarch must wait until the previous holder dies to be granted it. The world's largest fast food chain isn't McDonald's, it's a Chinese ice cream and boba tea shop called Mixu, with more locations globally than any other brand. Louis-Joseph Xavier, a French prince, died after developing an injury from a fall that turned fatal. Louis said that he developed his injury after being pushed by a playmate, but he refused to say who pushed him so they would not be punished. He was only 9 years old. A 74-year-old woman with no priors decided to rob a bank to handle financial ruin after being scammed by someone claiming to be from U.S. Customs. She took full responsibility and is currently in prison. While filming Fitzcarraldo in the Amazon rainforest, director Werner Herzog and actor Klaus Kinski feuded so much that the chief of the Machiguenga tribe, whose members were used as extras, asked if they should kill Kinski, though Herzog declined as he needed the actor to finish the film. On February 19, 2014, Omaha spree killer Nico Jenkins filed a federal lawsuit seeking $24.5 million from the state of Nebraska for wrongfully releasing him from prison. A 73-year-old man in Kenya was tending to his farm when a leopard charged out of the long grass and attacked him. Although he was holding a machete, he decided to drop it and thrust his hand into its wide-open mouth instead. Gradually, he managed to pull out its tongue, which led to its death. Puyi, the last emperor of China, made a rare visit in June 1942 to confer with the graduating class at the Manchukuo Military Academy, awarding the top student, Takagi Masao, with a gold watch. Masao's real name was Park Chung-hee, who would later go on to be military dictator of South Korea. St. Lawrence was roasted to death on a hot gridiron. In defiance, he said, "Turn me over, I'm done on this side." He is now the patron saint of comedians and cooks. In 1960, 3 teenagers were brutally murdered while camping at Finland's Lake Bodom, and the case remains one of the country's most infamous unsolved crimes. Wireless operator Jack Phillips of the RMS Titanic did the best he could as the ship sank to contact other ships for assistance. He would not survive the sinking, and his body, if recovered, was not identified. His actions saved many lives that night. He was only 25 years old. For centuries, Borzoi dogs could not be purchased but only given as gifts from the Tsar. The breed was almost rendered extinct after the Russian Revolution as the communists associated the breed with the upper classes and killed Borzoi dogs in large numbers. Fantasia was originally just the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey Mouse short designed as a comeback for the character, as his popularity was in decline. When the budget grew too big, they opted to just do a whole movie. Fantasia is now considered among the greatest animated films of all time. The producers of The X-Files TV show originally wanted Pamela Anderson for the role of Dana Scully. Luckily for the then unknown Gillian Anderson, executive producer Chris Carter went to bat for her, saying she was the only actress fit for the role as he imagined it. In 1990, a French nuclear physicist tried a solo invasion of the island of Sark. He announced his plan in advance on posters. During the invasion, a local cop complimented his gun. When he changed the magazine to show it off, the cop cackled and arrested him. He tried another invasion in 1991. A 32-year-old man's habit of inhaling nitrous oxide via whippets left him unable to walk for 2 weeks before he visited an ER. He lost the use of his legs about 3 months after his habit began, due to a condition caused by a deficiency of vitamin B12. He was successfully treated with B12 shots. An American cybersecurity company used the floating patterns in lava lamps to create a random number generator for encryption purposes. A supermarket's put fruits and veggies right at the entrance, so you feel like you've made a healthy choice, giving you permission to grab junk food later without guilt. Meanwhile, essentials like milk are way at the back, forcing you to walk past all the snacks. China currently operates 69% of all high-speed rail in existence, stretching 4,600 kilometers from the far west of the country, Kashgar Prefecture, to its easternmost city, Fuyan. The next highest is Spain, with only 6%. The biggest espionage leak in U.S. Navy history involved a spy ring of 4 people: leader John A. Walker, his son, his brother, and a friend. The U.S. Navy wasn't even aware of Walker's network, which existed from 1967 to 1985, until his ex-wife revealed it to them after their daughter convinced her to. An injured hiker survived 24 days in a mountain forest without food or water in what doctors believe is the first known case of a human going into hibernation. He slipped while walking down the mountain and broke his pelvis. When he was found, his body temperature had fallen to just 22 degrees Celsius. During the Vietnam War, U.S. forces faked a vampire attack to scare Viet Cong soldiers by draining a corpse's blood and leaving puncture wounds to exploit local vampire folklore. Despite having less than 0.5% of the world's population, Australia is home to 20% of the world's slot machines. Australia's $25 billion a year in gambling losses represent the highest per capita gambling losses in the world. During WW2, the British developed a covert pistol called the Welrod. This bolt-action, integrally suppressed firearm was so quiet that it could eliminate a target without alerting nearby enemies. Dr. William Halsted pioneered modern medical residency training and sterile surgical techniques, while also dealing with a cocaine addiction. His long hours, fueled by his substance use, influence the expectations of medical and surgical residents today. On March 18, 1919, the entire city of New Orleans stayed up the all night playing loud jazz music at every bar and household for fear that a serial killer would murder thousands of people based on a letter written to the local newspaper. Playboy asked Richard Thompson and other musicians to compile a list of the best songs of the millennium to celebrate the year 2000. Thompson maliciously complied and included songs as old as the 13th century. The list was never published, so Thompson released a live album. The snake charming was legal in India all the way up until 1972. Lou Gehrig lived with his parents until he was 30, having won 3 World Series championships by the time he moved out. The electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, despite enduring stigma, is evidenced to be one of the most effective treatments of severe depression. The advents of anesthesia, informed patient identification, and refined electrode placement have made ECT a much safer, life-saving treatment. There's more genetic diversity within Africa than the rest of the world combined. It's suspected that the last word in the English dictionary, ziziva, was intentionally crafted to be at the end. Irish entomologist Thomas Casey named a newly discovered species of beetle with no etymological roots. In 1864, a war was fought over bat poop. In the Chincha Islands War, Spain fought with Peru over control of a group of islands covered in bat poop up to 100 feet thick. Guano, when dried, was used as the main ingredients of saltpeter, an early important component of gunpowder. Thomas Jefferson's tombstone was removed at the request of his family and replaced by a larger replica because visitors were chipping off pieces for souvenirs. The original tombstone is at the University of Missouri in Columbia. France's deadliest day in WW1 was August 22, 1914. Following a series of reckless offensive charges, 27,000 French soldiers were killed in less than 24 hours. This figure is more than any other day in French history and is half as many as all U.S. soldiers killed in the entire Vietnam War. The juice-jacking, where hackers use public USB charging station to compromise phones and smart devices. However, there are no credible reported cases outside of research efforts. In the early 1990s, dozens of scientists wrote letters to the NIH opposing the Human Genome Project, calling it mediocre science and a flagrant waste of funds. Pre-sliced bread was briefly banned for the war effort in 1943 to try to conserve wax paper, as sliced bread dried out quicker and needed heavier wrapping. The ostrich effect, a phenomenon where people would figuratively bury their head in the sand and avoid negative but useful information, such as feedback on progress, to avoid psychological discomfort.